Okay, hi Paul, we're back.
Hello, welcome back.
Yes,
Welcome back, everyone.
welcome back. Yes, welcome back. I think we can start now. It's already 5. And I hope you all enjoyed your break. Now, Professor Dr. Ali El-Bahrawy, hydraulics professor at Faculty of Engineering at Shams University, will give us an enlightenment session about SDGs and Industry 4.0 in Egypt, inshallah. You can go
Thank you
ahead, ya
so.
doctor.
Thank you so much, Lubna. In addition to being a professor emeritus in hydraulics, I have very um, genuine interest in SDG subjects in different disciplines. And today, my presentation is called SDGs, Industry 4, and Egypt. The contents of my presentation will start with a review of SDGs, a very peculiar review that I prepared especially for this occasion. Then we are going to look at literature and how researchers around the world connect between SDGs and Industry 4. Then I'm going to talk about an important subject relating Industry 4 to developing countries. Then I'm going to give a series of examples of Egyptian national projects and its relation to industry, and I will end my speech with some concluding remarks. In 2015, 195 nations agreed with the United Nations that they can change the world for the better. This will be accomplished by bringing together the respective governments, businesses, media, institutions of higher education, and local NGOs to improve the lives of the people in their country by the year 2030. Now, 2030 is a target year. And the story didn't start in 2015. It really started in 2000 with something called the Millennium Development Goals. And after they have only at that time, they had 8 goals. But this time, the Sustainable Development Goals have 17 goals. And in 2015, they decided to enlarge the number of goals and redefine targets and indicators, as you are going to see. The 2030 agenda, the 2030 is a target year not only for the SDGs, but also for the Egypt national strategy and for the strategy of many countries, because they go together. All countries like to satisfy as much as they can the goals and targets of the SDGs. I put them this way, and I articulated the description to start with a verb. Therefore, SDG number 1 has a color, a red color, and it's about eliminating poverty. SDG 2 has a specific color, and it's about erasing hunger. SDG 3 is to establish good health and well-being. SDG 4 is to provide quality education, and SDG 5 is to enforce gender equality. I made the words very few so that you remember, because when we are going to look at the material covered in this lecture, we are going to relate these keywords to see the connection between the SDGs and Industry 4. The 6th goal is to improve clean water and sanitation. In SDG 7, grow affordable and clean energy. I want you to watch also the icon inside the colored circle. Therefore, we have a description starting with a verb. We have a color, a number, and an icon. SDG 8, create decent work and economic growth. And SDG 9, increase industry, innovation, and infrastructure. I like this SDG 9 because it has 3 I's. Increase industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And therefore, these 3 I's, if you multiply by 3, you get the number of the goal, which is 9. SDG 10 to reduce inequality. We have, as you noticed, we have two inequality here. Number 5, to enforce gender equality or to reduce gender inequality, and here to reduce inequality. What the difference is, 5 is devoted to gender inequality, but 10 devoted to inequality within a country and between countries. Also, number 11 is an interesting goal to mobilize sustainable cities and communities. And development goal 12 is to influence responsible consumption and production. 13 is devoted to climate action. And goal number 14 is to develop life below water. And number 15 to advance life on land. Number 16 is to guarantee peace, justice, and strong institutions. Number 17 is an overarching goal that covers the other 16 goals. It talks about building partnership for the goals. Egypt, fortunately, has to do with these 17 goals. There is an annual report called the SDG report every year, and it reports on the advancement by looking at the indicators for each country. Egypt is included. If you like to know what's the situation of Egypt, you can Google the SDG report 2022. But the story does not end with goals. We have to really read carefully how targets and indicators are articulated. I use this example here. Matryoshka is a Russian doll that has, if you open it, you find a doll inside, wooden doll. If you open the second doll, you find another one. But I used only 3 because I'm talking about goals, targets, and indicators. Here, I'm not going to talk about targets and indicators for all goals, but I'm going to select for a good reason that you may know later on, or maybe you can tell me during the presentation why I selected 8, 9, and 12. And I'm going to read with you some of the goals and indicators. Goal 8, this is the long title: promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. And you can see that under the goal, there are some targets. And these targets are numbered and lettered in the sense that we have 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and after you finish the numbers, you may find 8A, 8B, 8C. But I'm going to concentrate on only 3, and I'm going to read 8.2 and 8.21. The target says achieve higher levels of economic productivity through diversification, technological upgrading, and innovation, including through a focus on high value added and labor intensive sectors. But how to measure the target? We read the 821 annual rate of real GDP per employed person, and the target has to be articulated so that we can calculate them. Therefore, every target is a number with a unit. Therefore, this annual growth will be in GDP per employed person, which is an indicator that can be calculated. We move to goal number 9. The long title is Build Resilient Infrastructure, Promote Inclusive and Sustainable Industrialization, and Foster Innovation. I select 9.2 that reads Promote Inclusive and Sustainable Industrialization by 2030, which is the target here. Significantly raise industry share of employment and gross domestic product in line with national circumstances, and double its share in least developed countries. Look here, attention is given to national circumstances and is given to developing countries. Because some people may ask me, by 2030, where everybody living on this planet will satisfy the SDG, they will try, but not all of them will satisfy the SDG with the same level. There are local differences and differences between countries. How to measure 9.2? 9.21 manufacturing value added as a proportion of the GDP per capita, and the other indicator, manufacturing employment as a proportion of total employment. You can, of course, I sent the presentation to Hiba, and of course she will make my slides available for you. The third one is goal 12. That the long title is Ensure Sustainable Consumption and Production Patterns. And this time I'm going to use 12.6, encourage companies, especially large and transnational companies, to adopt sustainable practices and to integrate sustainability information into their reporting cycle. How I'm going to measure that? Using the indicator, the number of companies publishing sustainability reports. Did you know the answer to my question? Why did I select 8, 9, and 12? Or can somebody interact with me if you like? Okay. If nobody wants to tell me why I selected 8, 9, and 12, we move to the next section.
Why did you select them? Are they your most favorite ones?
No, they are the most related to industry. This is one of the answers. But there is another answer that will come very soon after this slide. Okay? But one answer, without reading the rest of my presentation, is I chose things that are very close to Industry 4. This is preliminary answer, but the real answer will be the next slides. Look here. Industry 4 can only lead to more sustainable development. Look at this beautiful statement. If the concept takes essential characteristics of sustainability into account. Therefore, from this statement, you can see the strong relation between sustainability and Industry 4. The following analysis has investigated to what extent sustainability aspects are currently reflected in the most recognized articles about Industry 4. They looked into literature and they made a literature review. This is the answer to my question, because in the literature review, they found most papers are for SDG 8, SDG 9, and SDG 12, and this is the rest of the answer to my question, because I selected those according to the literature review. Look, the guy who wrote this paper is very smart, because he used the same colors that I talked about in the columns, representing this color for number 8 and this color for number 9, and the same color 12 is here. And these are the number of analyzed text fragments related to SDGs 8, 9, and 12 respectively. But because the title of the goal itself does not tell the whole story, we have to deep into the articulation of the targets themselves. Look here, the number of analyzed text fragments relating to relevant targets of SDG 8 respectively. And this is why I selected these targets when I was showing previous slides. Why? To match this column graph that shows the number of analyzed text fragments for target 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. They didn't find any analyzed text fragments for 8.6 or 8.7. They repeated the exercise for SDG 9. And look here, they used 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, and 9.C. What's 9.C? As I mentioned before, they have this strange numbering system. They finished numbers and then they started using ABC. Why is that? This is my own interpretation. I think they were written in two different points in time. They decided on the numbers first, then something happened, discovered more information, and they decided to add more targets and indicators. Therefore, they call them ABC. I may be wrong, but this is my own way of looking at things. Here, for SDG 12, and again, this is a column chart that shows the number of analyzed text fragments related to SDG 12. Is everything clear here, or do you have any questions, comments, or reflections? If you don't, I should proceed. Then we move from looking at the literature review into the relation between Industry 4 and developing countries. There is a relation between developing countries and technologies. We are living in the beginning of a new technological revolution around Industry 4 technologies, such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and the Internet of Things. But Industry 4 refers to smart and connected production systems designed to sense, predict, and interact with the physical world to make decisions that support production in real time. Developing countries need to diversify their production towards more technological advanced sectors. Look here, from now on, I will highlight some words with yellow. Do you know why I'm doing that? Can somebody interact with me, please? Because this highlighted
it will be connected with some other points.
Exactly.
Because it's related for a certain SDG.
Exactly.
Which is the yellow color.
Exactly. For example, inequalities are in SDG 5 and SDG 10. As you technological change affects inequality through jobs, wages, and profits. In the case of Industry 4, new technology mainly increases productivity. As companies become more productive, they are also more competitive and more likely to hire more highly skilled workers in better jobs. Countries in which firms adopt Industry 4 could expect a higher increase in productivity and competitiveness and wages. Industry 4 in manufacturing can bring huge gains in productivity, but most firms in developing countries are way far from using Industry 4, and this is the main message here. We still have to work hard in developing countries. Harnessing for inclusive development. The word inclusive talks about justice, which is in SDG 16. Developing and also removing inequalities in 5 and 10. Developing countries would not be able to broadly develop Industry 4 if they have weak manufacturing. Industry, again, is mentioned in very clearly in SDG number 9, and also innovation. The state has a crucial role in promoting potential sectors, strengthening innovation systems, building coherence between STI, where S means science, T means technology, and I means information policies. Government should also promote affordable, high-quality access to the internet and build digital skills in the business sector, including SMEs. Do you know what SMEs is? Like, do you know what are the three
small medium enterprises?
Exactly. Small, medium enterprise. Exactly. Workers who cannot be trained or retrained and lose their jobs should rely on stronger mechanisms of social protection. Social protection is giving a lot of attention in the definition of the SDGs. For example, SDG 1, which is poverty, there is a lot of indicators about social protection, especially the initiative of the country for social protection programs. I don't know about our foreign audience, but could the Egyptians tell me some of the initiatives in Egypt that has to do with social protection. Can somebody know what we are doing in Egypt? Yeah.
Like the efforts done by the government
Yes.
for supporting the people who are unemployed.
Yes. What is the name of the initiative? Because it's very famous. It's on the news almost every day. Do you know Haya Karima only, or the other things? Do you know Takaful and Karama?
Yes.
Yes. All
Yes,
these
of
are
course.
social. Takaful is a program, and Karama is another program. Even though they are called Takaful and Karama, but they are two different programs. One for the poor people, and the others for the disprivileged, like members of the society. The role of international collaboration. International collaboration also has to do with SDGs. Can somebody from the very brief description of SDGs tell me where international collaboration is defined in the SDGs, or this is difficult for you?
I think it was the last one.
Exactly. Who is speaking?
I am Isra.
Isra, very good guess, yes, because number 17 is about international collaboration, and you can talk a lot about the role of rich countries and how they can help developing countries. We have 5 critical areas: sharing knowledge and information and conducting research. Where does research fall in the, because there are 5, we have 5 SDGs at least. Do you know where research is in the SDGs, Isra? Okay, it is in number 4, which is like quality education. Helping design policy strategies to implement initiatives. We talked about initiatives. Helping build capacity of all actors at the national innovation system. Innovation is mentioned in number 9. I taught you how I remember that, which because of the 3 I's: innovation, infrastructure, and industry. And promoting technology transfer through new innovative partnership. Partnership again is under number 17. Collaboration and partnership are very close. Helping to set legal frameworks, guidelines, norms, and standards. Legal frameworks is difficult to know where it is allocated among the SDGs, but I can tell you it's number 16. Because number 16 talk about strong institutions, and strong institutions should have enforceable laws that can be implemented, and also about transparencies and accountability. Do you know the difference between these two beautiful words, transparency and accountability? Can anybody tell me?
Transparency would mean that it's transparent enough, like they can actually see the actual picture instead of actually being reported. And then accountability, actually getting something relevant or something that you can account on.
Yeah, accountability means if somebody makes a mistake, he should pay for it. Because it's not accounting like in commerce, but accountability means like you should have a system to apply a penalty for somebody who make a mistake. Now, I'm going to take you a tour, hopefully a very pleasant tour through our industry-related national project. This is my own choices, my own ways of looking at things, and we will start with the new administrative capital. The new administrative capital is a smart city, which is the same thing, the same smart in the definition of Industry 4. This is how the capital looks like, the administrative capital looks like. It's called administrative capital because originally they wanted to move the administrative buildings from Cairo there, but the idea got very much enlarged, and it becomes a very huge city that does not only include the quarter for governmental ministries, it has other things. I have a lot of material about national projects. You can if you like, you can go to my YouTube channel and you find plenty of videos and lectures covering the national projects, and one of them is how many smart cities are we going to have in Egypt? Do you know the number? Should I give you choices? 4, 10, or 38?
38.
38 sounds
38.
good.
Exactly. There are 38 smart
Sounds
cities.
too
And
exact.
we have a beautiful map that shows where are these 38 smart cities is located. Here, when I talk about the administrative capital, we are going to talk about in the levels of targets and indicators. Why? Because this is where I find the relation. By 2030, of course, it's goal 11 because it has to do with cities. And it says by 2030, provide access to safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transport systems for all, improving road safety, notably by expanding public transport. Ya salam ala public transport, because public transport is an issue in Egypt. Because now, look in the streets, you will find private cars, you will find some government buses, and a lot of microbuses. And you can find tuk-tuk in some places. Now, these modes of transportation will be changed, and we are going to use monorail, and then the speed trains. You will find something called al-Utobis al-Taraddudi, and there is a lot of beautiful information about these new modes of transportation, with special attention to the needs of those in vulnerable situations, women, children, persons with some disabilities. The indicator is a number that tells the proportion of population that has convenient access to public transport by sex, age, and persons with disabilities. Now, can somebody try to read the graph without me commenting on it? Because because like infograph like this should be self-evident, and I don't need to explain because it explains itself. Can somebody tell me what is this and what's the relation of this infograph to the previous 2 slides? I need somebody in addition to Mr. Whom I can see his photograph now with the ear like phones. I want some other people to interact with me. Can you understand what is meant by this infograph? It's a clustered column graph.
Maybe it's about the targets that have been settled up for each SDG, and the indicators which show the impact of each one we tried to apply or submit.
Yeah, you are very close to the right answer. This shows the number of targets and indicators for each goal as shown by the title of the graph. And this red rectangle reflects that we are talking about 11.2. Therefore, it is almost here. It is 2 here on SDG number 11. Therefore, it's my own way of relating the new administrative capital on a graph that includes the 17 development goals. The other national project that's worth talking about is developing national railway network. As I told you, the modes of transportation will change, but here we will take only one element, what's happening in the railway industry. Here shows an overview of the transportation network in Egypt that will take you almost everywhere, to Fayoum, to Marsa Matruh, to Aswan, to El-Wahat, and also the Red Sea. Then, this is one of the tractors that are bought to improve the network of railway wagons. And I used goal 9 because it says 9 has been mentioned before. Build resilient infrastructure, because these are the 3 I's. Promote inclusive, sustainable industrialization and innovation. 9.1 develop quality, reliable, sustainable, and resilient infrastructure, including regional and trans-border infrastructure to support economic development and human well-being, with a focus on affordable and equitable access to all. Do you know the meaning of the word affordable in Arabic?
يعني في قدرة استطاعية أو استطاعة مادية للشراء.
بالضبط. السعر مش رخيص قوي، مش غالي قوي، لكن سعر مناسب في ايد الناس ممكن يدفعوا. Passenger and freight volumes, this can be measured by mode of transport اللي احنا اتكلمنا عليهم دول. طبعا now you can tell what is this line, because it is goal number 9 and it is a target and indicator number 1. Then we are going to talk about the largest solar energy plant. Do you know what is the name of the largest solar energy plant in Egypt? Oops.
I think it's Bimban.
Yeah, Binban. It's
in Aswan.
Binban solar power project is considered to be one of the largest solar generation facilities in the world. Egyptians are very fond of the highest tower, the biggest mosque, the largest solar power plant. The project purpose is to contribute to Egypt's energy sufficiency. Egypt's national strategy aims to bring the contribution of electricity from renewable energy to 20% by the year 2020 and the 22, and they realize that the Bimban solar park is set to generate the equivalent of 90% of the energy produced by the High Aswan Dam. Do you know how much energy is produced by hydropower in the High Aswan Dam? Do you know the number in megawatt? Gigawatt, I'm sorry. It is 2.1. And the generation here is about 1.9. This is why it's almost 90%. And here is a map that shows the location of the Bimban solar park. And here a photograph of the solar power plant. Now we move to wind energy plants. The wind energy plants, there are many actually, but the biggest of them is Jabal al-Zayt. Jabal al-Zayt, Red Sea Governorate, is deemed the largest, again, the largest wind farm in the Middle East. The 100 square kilometers farm includes 300 wind turbines. The total capacity of the Jabal al-Zayt wind station is to be 580 megawatts with a production rate of 2 megawatts per turbine. The plant contains a system that has the ability to monitor migrating birds. This is a very important issue through the radar and stop turbines when they pass and reoperate after they leave. How do you think we can warn the people at the wind station to take care of birds? Do you know how we do this on the ground? Can somebody talk to me? It's an important issue.
What do you mean from the ground? I think this is an issue related to the biodiversity and the migrating birds.
Yeah, biodiversity is an important issue, but here we're talking about birds only, and how the people at the Jabal al-Zayt wind station know that the birds are coming.
Do radars
monitoring.
Okay,
Yes?
I will leave him. Okay.
Yeah, please talk.
I don't know. Go ahead, Hamad. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I know that some people, their job is about to monitoring the birds using binoculars or something like that. And when they see the birds coming in certain time of the year, they tell the people who are responsible for this plant.
Exactly. There is some monitoring points away from the station, and when the birds is coming, they give them in advance a warning so that they can stop the turbines. Okay. And this is where the Jabal al-Zayt is located on the Red Sea. and this is a beautiful photograph of the wind turbines. Oops. Now
Don't you
I
also
tried
have
to.
some Doppler radars that pick up the change in frequency with the birds flying?
This is more advanced technological way of looking at things. Yes.
I didn't hear it. Can he repeat it again?
Doppler radars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What I did actually in this lecture that ended very fast is that the SDGs are related to Industry 4 as defined by many goals. You mean the definition has industry in it, or we can look at the paper that I mentioned about recent research that shows how sustainability aspects are currently reflected in the most recognized articles about Industry 4. And Industry 4 relationship to developing countries gave us an idea about how developing countries is related to industry and the importance of technology. And then I made my own tour through some of the Egyptian mega projects that can be related to industry, and I connected these mega projects to the goals and targets of the SDGs, and at the same time they have corresponding articulation in the Egyptian strategy 2030. Any questions? Shabab, any questions? Any comments? Hello.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I guess
Now,
if there is no, they are clapping and giving a thumb up.
really, I cannot see them. Maybe I will.
Oh,
I will,
really?
yes. Therefore, I should. Yeah. Oh, now I can see
Yes.
all of you. Now,
Yes.
look at that. Now we still have a lot of time to go, right? Therefore, I wanted to make use of this time. How I'm going to make use of this time. If you want, I can go through a small tour in my YouTube. You can see a lot of videos that you may be interested in. Actually, my specialty is not the Industry 4, it is water resources, but you will find a lot of interesting stuff. If you want to do that, then I'm going to find a lot of other material related to the subject to fill the time until the end of the lecture. Do you like to go to my YouTube, or do you have other suggestions?
Okay, we can have a look. No
Okay.
problem.
All right, let us go to the Google and
Maybe while you're loading that up, I would have a question for you.
of course.
May I ask, from your opinion, I mean, maybe it's a bit biased because you're very much the expert in water systems, but what would the largest, or maybe if you had to put top 3 biggest challenges for SDGs for Egypt, what would they be in your opinion? Maybe related, I mean, if we look at what Industry 4.0, how they're related, like you've said in the lecture. Yeah, but what might be the biggest challenges that can be solved or that should be addressed first, from your opinion?
From my opinion, poverty comes number 1. Because if you look at the statistics of poverty in Egypt and the definition of poverty, we need to work on that. And because most of the population in Upper Egypt are really disprivileged. And one of the main expenditure of the Egyptian government is through Haya Karima that was mentioned. It's called Decent Life Initiative, and it will improve the standard of living of people living in the rural areas by developing their water supply and sanitary networks. Therefore, because poverty has different definitions, One of them is access to clean water and the access to sanitary services. The other thing is education, because if you look at the rank of Egypt, even among Arab countries, we are at the tail of the list. Therefore, we have to work hard, not only tertiary education in universities, but also primary and secondary education. You want a third one. Okay. What is third one?
Maybe the labor market or the number of jobs, unemployment.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned unemployment. How about food security?
I was going to tell about the food security. It's
food
about
security is an important issue, and this is one of my specialty, because I'm going to give a lecture to AUC and tell them that in the future they will be eating insects. If you are from Germany, the German government is using crickets, and they ground them and they put them in paste, and people eat them. South Asia, they already eat insects, as we know, but all of us, believe me, in 5-10 years time, your diet will include a lot of insects. And when I was in Mexico, one of my Chilean girlfriends told me, eat the cockroach. It is crunchy and healthy and nutritious.
This is really
And I
nice.
couldn't say no to the beautiful girl, and I tested the cockroach, and it was okay. I didn't die. I'm still alive and talking to you now. Did I answer your question, Mr. Paul Wolf?
Yes, yes, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I see we have,
Any
is there a
any
hand
other-
raised?
Yes.
Francisca has a
any
hand
other-
raised.
Yes.
Yeah, hand raised. Yeah, somebody raised his hand. It is Francisca. What a beautiful name.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So I was just wondering, since you said like the SDGs are basically preceding the Millennium Goals, so I was wondering what will happen after the SDGs, because it's like almost like 7 years to go, or like only 7 years to go for the 2030, and I don't think that we will fulfill or like achieve the SDGs. So
Yes.
will it just be like SDG version number 2, and then after that it's gonna be SDG version number 3? So
Yes.
sometimes I feel like, okay, what's the point of it? Or is it maybe the point of it is just the process, or to have a vision or like a common goal? I don't know. Maybe you want to elaborate on that
Yes.
a bit.
Okay. I actually like your question, because now we were kind of having some progress in some of the SDGs, but because of the COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukrainian war, things went back. Money that were supposed to be devoted to improving things on national level or even international level, especially the contributions of rich countries to poor countries, have been reduced. Therefore, we are going back. Now, what happened if 2030 comes and some countries didn't satisfy the goals, which is, of course, speaking about poverty, I can show you a graph that has a prediction when poverty will end at different countries. There is big differences. Some countries in sub-Saharan Africa will need 150 years to eradicate poverty, and some countries would take less time. Therefore, to answer your question, yes, by 2030 they are going to give it another name, and they're going to go for another 15 years, and they are going to articulate different targets and indicators, and we may keep going for a long time. But hopefully, if people get to their senses and stop fighting and find technology can help us, we may use less years to reach the goals. Because poverty is an issue. And actually, when I say poverty, I don't exclude the states or Russia or big countries, because they have poor people. I don't know if in Germany you have poor people or not. Do you have poor people? Yeah, I think poor people are, because you see the definition of poverty differs from one country to the other. In one country, what's considered poverty, in other countries, They need other things to define poverties. I have a beautiful movie about defining poverty. If you like, I can share this movie with you. Do you like to look how poverty is defined?
Yeah.
But yeah, but before going to poverty and watching the beautiful video, I like to have show you the access to my YouTube to see if you will. Okay. What do you see now?
The home of your YouTube channel.
Exactly. The videos are too many, as you can see. They are more than 160. And they talk about, oh, this is a beautiful graph, video, if you like. It's called The Colors of Gold in Egypt. Do you know what I mean by the colors of gold in Egypt? The title is in Arabic.
Maybe if we know, as we studied earlier in a primary school, like we used to say that the cotton is a white gold, and petrol is a black gold, and stuff like that.
Actually, it is stuff like that, but the colors
with their colors.
The colors you mentioned, white and black, are defined differently because they change with time. When we talk about white gold in Egypt, we talk about white sand in the desert that you can extract silica.
Yeah, and the black sand also.
The black sand, yes, exactly. We can also extract a lot of minerals that are important in advanced technological industries. And there is also the color yellow for wheat, and the color red for tomato. And there is a fifth color, which has to do the green, which has to do with the jojoba plants that can be used in medical industry. Therefore, these are the 5 colors in the video. And then, and this also, you may like this, especially our German friends, because most of the classical music in this particular video are by Dutch, by German and people coming from Austria. It's called Music and Climate Change, and in this video we connect between music and climate change. You will love it. Because did you know before that there is a strong relation between music and climate change?
That sounds really interesting.
You have it is free of charge. You can watch it, and then but in order to follow these too many, you have to go to playlists, because I clustered the videos into titles. Therefore, I have some videos for the subjects I'm teaching at the Faculty of Environment. There is beautiful videos about urban water security, and this is one that of interest to you, Egypt mega projects. And I do a lot of soft skills in terms of writing and communication, and this is for the educators. This is how to design a good examination paper, SDG and higher education, about water engineers, about some interviews, and this is also my 5 experiences of converting my face-to-face lectures into e-modules, which is important these days, and some other subjects you will enjoy. Now,